Okay, so can everyone see that? Well, okay, perfect. Okay, so let's begin. Actually, with this first slides here. Welcome to the Master of Journalism info session with a special guest. We have Betsy Wright, who is the director of our career development here at Berkeley Journalism. So she is extremely busy, so we are really glad and grateful to have her and definitely take advantage of this opportunity to ask her questions at the end. My name is Nellie. Some of you may have seen me or seen my name floating around if I've sent you emails or we've just connected in fairs this past summer. But my name is Nellie. I'm the director of admissions here. And Betsy, to briefly introduce yourself.
Oh yeah, sure. Hey, yeah, Nelly, don't worry. As folks arrive, I can do the admit button pushing if you like. Yeah, it's really great to meet all of you. My story in a nutshell. I like you thought seriously and actually did attend graduate school for journalism. I worked as a video journalist primarily for 15 plus years. And that took me all sorts of different places, working in a local context, national context, cable, network, startup. And so it's my pleasure to take all of those experiences and apply them to this work so that I can support the next generation of journalists. So yeah, it's very much for me, very mission driven work, and I'm just so honored to be a part of it.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing, Betsy. Um, Okay, so next slide here. Just this is a little bit about who we are. This includes all of our staff. And you can see Betsy in some of these pictures and, as well as myself. So, we make the J School what it is and help make sure that, everything runs smoothly. And yeah, who are you? This is actually a picture of our incoming class of 2026. So they are first year students in the program. We're a 2-year master's, so they're in their first year here, and this was orientation day. And yeah, I again just you can see kind of how excited everyone is here, the energy on campus that first day, and obviously highlighting the diversity of our student body as well, which is really important to us here at the J School as we think about advancing the next generation of journalists.
Can I just say too, that is one of the most exciting days. Seeing everyone, because we've been learning about you. We learn about our students way before they arrive to campus. And so it's just so fantastic to see them in person for the first time and then to see them all together and they bond like so quickly. It's we like just kind of sometimes stand on the sidelines and just watch the magic happen.
Yeah, it is a really fun day for sure. Yeah, so we'll again introduction. We just did a little bit of our welcome and introductions, but I'll go into a brief introduction of our Master of Journalism program, and then Betsy will take it from there and talk a little bit about our career advantage. Should you come here and be admitted, and some profiles of our alumni, and next steps and just how you can stay connected with us, especially if you're considering applying for fall 2025 to start next year. Yeah, so and maybe Betsy, you can also speak to this mission as well. But yeah, as you can see here, our mission is to expand the worldwide impact of truth-seeking, fact-based, and inclusive journalism by training the next generation of diverse journalists to become exceptional storytellers and industry leaders. Yeah, Betsy, I don't know if you know how you feel as the director of career services. This is probably a big part of how you connect with your partners and just all the
Yeah.
collaborations.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just think like there's just this understanding that quality journalism is needed now more than ever. And so and not just quality journalism, but a wide array of folks out there who are equipped with the skills to gather this information and to tell it in compelling ways and to share it with folks. So yeah, I mean, I think obviously for us at Berkeley Journalism, but the newsrooms we work with and honestly the funders of our many of our initiatives, they understand that we this is an essential part of American democracy and just really essential work.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, and we'll speak to the program a little bit as well. But sp firstly, why Berkeley? I know there are a lot of journalism schools out there. We are definitely among the top Berkeley, top J schools. One of the reasons being that we are a public, we were actually ranked the #2 public university this year in U.S. News. We're actually ranked eighth globally as well. So just purely by the reputation that precedes us and the legacy of being here at Berkeley, that will give you a competitive edge. Betsy, I'm sure, can also speak to that. And just the location, right? We're in a prime location, in the thriving Bay Area, from Silicon Valley to Napa Valley. And it also helps that the weather is really nice here. And so even in the winter, it's always like the same temp. It's always like a nice 60s degrees temp. So yeah. But Betsy, anything else you want to add? Okay, so we'll keep going because this is why Berkeley, but also kind of what makes our J school different. I think, again, speaking to the diversity that we aim to embrace here, we are a diverse community of curious, driven, independent thinkers and makers who believe that truth matters and that every important story must be earned. Kind of also speaking to what Betsy had just previously said as well about our mission. I think what really differentiates us is one that we're purely focused on journalism. We are at Berkeley. We have the Graduate School of Journalism. Some other schools might have journalism under media communications or something or other. But we have just the one J school. And when you study here, you will study a Master of Journalism. So I think that makes us unique. So if you are serious about journalism, I think, and building that craft, then I think this is a really great place to do just that. We also are a small cohort. We enroll just under 60 students a year, and that just leads to a very tight-knit community of people, of students that are just willing to collaborate and help each other. And also in terms of our faculty, just that willingness because of just how close people are that they're able to really provide that additional support to you. And then also another aspect, we will do our best to help you pay for that degree. We know that journalism is, going back to school, pursuing a graduate degree. We know that in journalism, it's not necessarily something you need to do in this industry, but it really is. So that is something that we are really also aware of and want to do our best to help bridge the gaps. I'll speak a little bit more to that later on at the end about our funding opportunities and exactly how we can help support students that are admitted here and really want to make this their next step in their professional journey. And lastly, we are one of the very few two-year programs that we're one of the few Master of Journalism programs that is a two-year program. So if you look at in comparison to other schools, you'll probably notice that a lot of them are a year or less, 10, 11 months long. And so, yeah, I think we really understand that it takes time to develop those skills, to master those skills, and 1 year is just not enough. And I think that is another reason why a lot of students do end up choosing to go here, because we offer that time, that support, and obviously the time to build a comprehensive portfolio of published work, and do that internship as well, which Betsy will probably talk more about later. So I will now hand it off to you, Betsy.
Okay, great. Oh wait, curriculum and courses. Do you want to take that?
Yeah, I'll just briefly go through the curriculum and courses. So curriculum and courses, we're a two-year master's program, as I mentioned before. We're a STEM designation, which for international students will be particularly helpful for them to note. because you have the 48-month extension post 1 year OPT. Um, and again, I won't spend too much time looking at the curriculum because I really do want to focus and have enough time for Q&A too. But this is also available on our website. So I definitely recommend taking a look at our specializations. This is important when you're actually applying to be mindful of what concentrations you might be considering, whether that's multimedia, narrative writing, audio, photojournalism, multimedia, video for the web. However, the only concentration that you need to apply outrightly to is the documentary program. So if you are interested in documentary, then please make sure that you select that as the primary concentration because you will not have a chance to change that later on. It's extremely hard to do so if you're admitted, under, another concentration other than documentary. However, you are not bound to these concentrations. So I do want to make clear that if you decide narrative writing and then you're admitted, you come here in the next fall, you can change your mind. You'll have a bit of leeway there, and you actually don't even need to declare that concentration officially until the end of your first year in the program. So you have plenty of time to explore, take courses across different media platforms, concentrations, before you select one. But documentary, you would need to select that even before when you apply and when you're admitted, because there are just a select number of spots for that concentration. Okay, sorry, I just want to make that really clear because I do get a lot of questions about the concentrations. So I'm just going to show you the faculty really briefly. And again, some of these names might be noteworthy, or you've seen these names before, like David Barstow of the investigative reporting program. Yeah, Jennifer Redfern is head of the documentary program. Bill Drummond, also fairly notable in the reporting on incarceration with San Quentin News. So, anyways, Ken Light, photojournalism. So we have really the top people in the field, which has just been really great getting to know. And yeah, lectures, we have some phenomenal lectures this year, and you can see just how diverse and really how much you know our lectures are really top in their field. And so yeah, practitioners in the field and are also doing award-winning work. So yeah, I definitely recommend taking a look at all of these people. We do on our website, there are little profiles, descriptions of kind of the work that they are doing, have done, and what classes they're teaching. So definitely take some time to look at that if that's something that intrigues you. The investigative reporting program, this is, again, not a concentration here. So it is something that you can do in tandem with a concentration. So if you are looking at, a documentary, or you're looking at, if you're looking at, multimedia, like whatever the concentration, you could do in tandem with investigative reporting as kind of like a topical area. And again, I'm sure Betsy can speak more to this. And yeah, so just a little more about, yeah,
Nellie,
RPC.
could you go to the previous slide? I just think
Sure.
you might think it's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, go
You
ahead.
put the second row. I just thought you'd be interested to know that Katie, Sasha, Catherine, and Kate, all former students of ours.
Yeah.
Sasha graduated in the class of 2024. Catherine graduated 3 years ago, maybe. Kate just graduated. Katie graduated like 5 years ago. So, and and then you might have noticed too that some of our faculty members were students of ours too, much longer ago. But there's this kind of a real kind of community sense of, you come as a student and you really dig in and throw down some roots. And then who knows, over time, you may find yourself going to the other side, teaching. That's all.
Yeah, definitely. No, I think that's super useful. Yeah. So again, a little more about investigative reporting. Again, because it's not a concentration, you can, take classes with the IRP, and be involved in the IRP in various ways. Whether that's working with the IRP, in a fall or spring internship or a summer internship. so there's many ways to get involved in the IRP, even again, though it is not like a specialization in the school. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add about that, Betsy, or if you want to speak to it later, that's also
Yeah, I just say you can think of it as a thread. If this is a thread you desire, you can think of it as a thread that you can weave through all of your coursework at Berkeley Journalism.
great. Yes. Okay, so now we are off to Betsy, handing off to her.
Okay, awesome. Hey, everybody. Um, yeah, so I just want to take a few minutes just to walk you through the array of things that we offer to help you uh, get in the field, stay in the field, and thrive. Because we really we're very much invested in this profession and the service that it provides to our to the world, really. And so just want to make sure also on an individual level that you feel like you're set up for success and prepared to go off and achieve your journalism dreams, aspirations, objectives. So that support comes in a lot of different forms, and I'm just going to kind of walk you through them now. And happy to, of course, to answer any questions that they might prompt. So, what do we offer? Offer individual consultations. And when I say we, it's kind of me. So you say the royal we, but so we do individual consultations. And what I try to do is really meet you where you're at. Because we get students who come to us with journalism experience. And so they've worked, they've got a good sense of things, they know how to put a resume together, they know how to write a cover letter. But maybe what they're looking for are some industry connections. So I will help them, with that kind of thing. Then we also get students who are coming to us straight out of undergrad. They've never worked. They are still kind of uncertain about, how to put together the tools of an internship application or a job application. And they might want some more kind of intentional hand holding. And so I'm there for that too. So I just kind of call it a la carte. I'm here to meet you where you're at and give you whatever it is that you think you need. And also maybe suggest some things that you need that you haven't recognized yet. Do internship search planning. All of our students are required to do a 300-hour internship in order to graduate. So I certainly help with the acquisition of that. Job search planning. I produce and host signature events. So some of those are what I call Monday meetups. So on Mondays and sometimes on Tuesdays, we'll have Monday meetups on Tuesdays. We will have a remote Zoom-based information session with a newsroom, and it's an array of newsrooms from organizations in our own backyard to organizations. Well, actually, we've met with BBC, so not too many from overseas, but just really want to kind of give students a sense and connection to the different kinds of news organizations out there, whether they're commercial or nonprofit, production companies, because I know some of you in the room are probably more interested in documentary films. So, a newsroom isn't really your jam, but we do try to bring production companies of note into your orbit as well. So that's the Monday meetup. Then just as another example of kind of a signature event, every year we have a portfolio and resume review night that we do. And that's where we bring Bay Area professionals in to look at your resumes, your portfolios, just kind of, your tools of securing opportunities. They give you some feedback, but they also the event on the surface is about getting that kind of critique, but it's also about networking. So lots of good networking opportunities can come from that too. And then all of that is preparation for Media Mayhem, and Media Mayhem is our annual career fair. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that later, but it's on Zoom and it's wild and it's kind of wacky, but it works wonderfully. And so many really awesome things have come about as a result of that. I also administer the Berkeley Journalism Internship Grant, and so that will be of interest to you. Pardon me. It's a fund that students can apply to tap into for grants up to $5,000 if you happen to secure an internship that's unpaid or low paid. So it's a little something to take the burden off of fulfilling that requirement. We also have the Berkeley Journalism Conference grants. And so if you're, for instance, interested in going to like the NABJ annual conference, you can apply. I think those grants are $500 and it can cover maybe your airfare to get there or hotel or, just your registration for the event itself. But that's just our effort to try to help you all kind of get out there, meeting people, networking, and just kind of spreading your wings. Um, we offer alumni mentorship opportunities. Then we have specialized support for international students who have some other, visa things to negotiate as they secure their internships and jobs after graduation. And then I also just spend a lot of time kind of making folks aware of different opportunities out there, whether it's a fellowship or a grant or a journalism award. And I also work with our partners, our newsroom partners, to create Berkeley exclusive opportunities. Let's see. Moving over to is that puce? Is that a shade of puce? That square in the middle? I've always been uncertain on what piece is it. I think it's like a greeny, yellowy color. Anyway, someone in the chat tell me if I've got that. Is that piece? How would you describe that color? I on Mondays I do career drops, and those are it's just kind of like just a moment to kind of look at these different aspects of preparing yourself to secure opportunities. Again, whether it's an internship, a job, or a fellowship. So, cover letter, resume how-tos, personal branding, link, how to optimize your LinkedIn profile, things of that nature. So, really make sure to cover those bases too if you're somebody who has questions about those things. And then on the far right, you can see, and I would call that turquoise, I think. Yeah, we go teal piece, I think. No one's putting in the chat what that color is. I have to Google it up. And turquoise. That's an array of newsrooms that that we're in contact with regularly, and they come and speak to our school to talk about different opportunities for early career journalists. Okay, next slide. Okay, Media Mayhem 2024. So that was in April, past April, and it included 76 different news organizations and production companies, represented by 130 recruiters, and we had 131 students participate. And that includes our first-year students, our second-year students, Olive. Oh, yeah. Okay, chartreuse. Yes, maybe so. Okay, thanks, everybody. Um, and we also let our undergraduate journalism minors participate and the class that just graduated. So if we've got some members of the class who are still kind of working on finding their first opportunity, they are welcome to participate in Media Mayhem as well. So the way it works is each recruiter has a breakout room and they have their own schedule. And there's a process for signing up for appointments. So when you kind of look at the big picture, on that day in April, there were over 900 one-on-one interviews. And it's such a fun event. And there's so many productive conversations that often develop into job offers or internship offers. And it's just, yeah, really, really a really cool, fun thing that we do. Next slide. Okay, so I thought you'd be interested to kind of go under the hood to see what our students are doing, just to kind of, get as maybe as an indication of what your experience might be like. So this is the class of 2025. So this the class is going to graduate in May. We have 56 students in that class. And so just this past summer, 55 of them had summer internships. And you can see how that breaks down. So 55 of them were paid in some form. So either by the newsroom itself or with the help of a Berkeley journalism grant. So 29 of the 54 did secure grants up to $5,000. 2 of the 55 were non-traditional internships. So that means internships that took place outside of a newsroom or production company. What would be an example of that? Let's just say there's somebody who's like, I think I'm really interested in food and farming. So I want to work with an organization that advocates for food and farmers, and I'm going to work with their marketing communications department so I can just learn more about those issues and that subject matter, that kind of thing. So if that's something that seems like it makes sense to you, that's an option that you can pursue to fulfill that internship requirement. Several of our students had more than one internship, and as you can see, several of them pursued internships during the academic year. You don't have to do it during the summer. We recommend that you do for an array of reasons, but yeah, some of our students are very enthusiastic about internships, and they secure internships that first semester, and they have them every semester throughout until graduation. It really, there are no right or wrong answers here. It's really kind of what works for you. On the next slide, you'll see where students interned, and you can change that, Nellie. Thank you. So that's a list of where students interned just this past summer. A couple of things I want you to notice. Some of them were overseas. We have one in Japan, one in Hong Kong, China, Uganda. So that's a cool option. It's exciting to see students exercise. Some of them are kind of traditional newspapery newsrooms. Some of them are digital first newsrooms. Some are audio centric, broadcasting. I mean, you name it, it's probably going to be represented on this list. So lots of flexibility there. It's kind of an interesting reflection of the variety of the industry, how many different ways you can go about practicing journalism. Yeah, and this is just, students generally find the internship work that they do really useful, whether it's getting clarity on what they want their career path to be, or getting more experience and building confidence, or, or expanding their network of professional connections. Yeah, whatever it is, or all of the above, students walk away feeling that they've spent their time really well. Okay, so here's a job report for the class of 2024. It's a little complicated, and I'll try to get into those nuances a little bit without going too far down the rabbit hole. But I guess the thing to know is that I find that students in our program, everyone has a very individual idea about what they want to be doing after graduation. So like some people aspire to work as freelancers, and some people aspire to have a part-time job and work as a freelancer on the side, anyway, there are all sorts of configurations of what an ideal employment situation looks like. But this is how it breaks down at this moment. So we have 51 students in the class of 2024. 17 of them right now have full-time journalism jobs. 7 of them are working with the California Local News Fellowship. That's a 2-year, I think we're going to talk a little bit more about that later, but that's a 2-year job. So where a student is placed in a newsroom, and they are considered an employee of the UC system. I think it's $70,000 with full benefits for 2 years. It's fantastic. And the idea is this is a solid job to help you get on your feet, develop your portfolio, kind of get grounded in your life as a journalist, and to kind of set you up for that next job in a newsroom. They'll most likely maybe be bigger. It just depends on what the goal of the student is. But anyway, or alum in that case. And then 2 of the 17 are Report for America fellows. 8 of them are freelance. And so freelance, so like in the case of a few of them, they're freelance, but they're working full time for their news organization. So it's full-time freelance. And then some of them are part-time freelance. And when they're not doing the part-time freelance job, they're pursuing their passion projects. 8 of them are actively applying for jobs. 5 of the 8 are video documentary students. And I just want to flag that because It's pretty common for the video documentary students to take more time to find that toehold into the industry. They do eventually, but it just takes a little more time. So if there are any video doc students in the house, I just want you to be prepared that it may not be as straightforward as some other paths. It just might require a little extra effort just to get things up and running. But that's a whole conversation, and that's kind of a reflection on the industry and how it works. 5 of them are doing internships, and 3 of those internships, as memory serves, are the kind of internships where it's like an audition. It's kind of like a gateway job. So it's like, intern for us, and if we like you, then we'll keep you on as full-time. So hopefully that's the direction those will go. 4 of them are part-time journalism jobs. 3 are other kinds of fellowships, full-time fellowships. 2 students are working, or alums are now working full-time journalism adjacent jobs. Someone's a high school teacher teaching journalism, and somebody else is working for the UC Davis Marcoms department. 2 have just kind of ghosted. I've reached out to them and trying to keep track of them, but they're not responding. So I don't know. So anyway, we'll hope all is well in their world. 1 is self-employed. She's decided that she's from Afghanistan, and she wants to create a kind of collective of Afghan journalism with Afghan women reporters. And so anyway, she's in the process of getting that up and running. You can imagine she's applying for a lot of grants. And one of them is a PhD student. She graduated from our program and moved to a different part of campus and is now working working on building her credentials as an academic. Okay, next slide. Great. We can kind of fly by these. So these are just to kind of give you a sense of like the students who are working. This is just kind of just a sampling of the different things that folks are doing. So Kayla is a criminal justice reporter with Cal Matters, and that's part of the California Local News Fellowship. Charles is wrapping up an internship with Bloomberg News. This is one of those internships that can turn into a job. We had a student last year who did the Bloomberg News internship after graduating, and he's now working with Bloomberg News. So we're hoping that that's in the cards for Charles too. Giselle is working as a reporter with Fresno Land. They got this opportunity through Report for America. Jenna Hartz, this is one of the freelance writers I was talking about. So this is a freelance job, but it's a full-time job, it's a freelance job. And the understanding is that, when some headcount opens up, they can bring her on as a staffer, but for now she's freelance. Jeremiah is working as a democracy researcher for Documented, and he just moved to New York. Kate is working with IRP. Kate was just on the cover of the New York. One of her stories just made it to the cover of the New York Times a few weeks ago. So that's very exciting. But she'll be working full-time with them through December, I believe. Laura is a state politics reporter with Cap Radio, which is the NPR station in Sacramento. Max just got this job. So he was interning over the summer with the San Francisco Business Times. And then he started a couple weeks ago as the Express desk reporter with the San Francisco Standard. And Nadia, another Report for America fellow, is stationed in Austin covering the State House. And, that's going to be exciting for the AP. Sachi is a fellow with Grist. That's a full-time 1-year fellowship. And Simmer is reporting with the Redwood City Pulse, which is a Bay Area smaller newsroom, doing lots of work. And Shannon is an intern with KQED. And that's another one of those internships where the way KQED works, if you do well as an intern, then you get to be invited to be an on-call reporter, and then you're positioned for a staff reporter. So Shannon's starting that trajectory. Yeah. This is just some kind of different career pathways, they're just, there's so many different, and I think this is one of the nice things about Berkeley journalism, doing that 2-year program. It just gives you more options. And what I'm seeing is a lot more like audio people going into documentary, and documentary people going into audio, and multimedia people doing everything. And so, when you have more time, you just have more opportunities to kind of pick up a wider set of skills that give you more options in the job market. Next. Okay. Do you want to take the alumni?
Um,
I can
sure.
keep talking if you want.
Yeah, you can
Okay.
take this.
Um, yeah, so yeah, alums, we have a rapidly growing community. I think it's just going to be a matter of time before we cross the 3,000 threshold. But what is really sweet, and and I think that's another kind of byproduct of the 2-year program. It just creates tighter connections between students and between students and the place and the community. And as a result, alums are really eager to support current students. They're very approachable, and I'm tapping into them all of the time to try to, help give our students a what's the word? A foot up, what's the cliche? Anyway, a leg up. That's it. To give them a leg up. Mhm. Yeah, and then the California Local News Fellows, just a little more about that. So, um, yeah, this is I guess we just had the second cohort. And so this coming year, they're going to select the third cohort. And yeah, the organizers work with newsrooms across the state, top to bottom, and then um, place students in these newsrooms for like I said, a 2-year assignment. And that comes with a salary of $70,000 a year, full benefits. You are officially a UC Berkeley, or well, I'm not sure if it's specifically Berkeley, but officially a UC California employee. And pardon me, yeah, we have students all over the place doing just really fantastic work.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Betsy, for your presentation. I'm just going to briefly go over kind of next steps and like applying if that's something that you are considering for this year or if you've started an application. And maybe Betsy can also speak to this, but I definitely recommend when I speak to prospective students to apply now. One of the reasons too, if you know that, you're looking for a master's program, I would say that Berkeley journalism at this point, we received a gift of $10 million earlier this year in March, marking our largest gift in the history of Berkeley journalism. And this affords us a lot more. This is going towards student awards. This is a really remarkable, uh, opportunity for our students, our incoming students, as well as if you're a student in the program. So even as a second year student, to have access to all these funding opportunities. And that can be in the form of student awards, which can be scholarships, fellowships, which are fully funded fellowship opportunities with a little bit of a living stipend. Travel, this means when you're in the program, having travel reporting grants, internship funding support. So I know Betsy can probably speak to this, how, if students are unable to, if they find an internship site but are, unable to, secure funds, right? That newsroom can't support them, with a salary. Then we actually have our own internship fund that students are able to we're able to dip into and provide that additional support. The emergency funds are also really, we've like the Clementine Fund, which essentially allows us to, if worst case scenario, let's say you're reporting somewhere and I think I heard this story. I don't know if this, Betsy, but if someone, let's say you are reporting in a different country and you're unable to, we have an India report. That's also a really cool advantage. We've had classes in Guatemala and other parts of Latin America. So there are just lots of opportunities. But should something happen and you really need emergency funding right away because you're stuck somewhere, or then you have that emergency funding, and just a lot more opportunities beyond that, just what is listed here. But just to understand that by applying now, you will have much more access to funds than we've ever had before. So yeah, that's something to consider if you're also looking at just having some additional funding when, if you're an admitted student. Yeah, the last thing I want to highlight here, application fee waivers. I have been getting questions about this. So if you're a domestic student, there you may be eligible for an application fee waiver. So I would say definitely check out the graduate admissions page for information on the application fee waiver. And you can also email gradadm@berkeley.edu to see if you qualify, but it's pretty clear cut on the website whether or not you qualify. But if you still are not sure, feel free to do so. If you are not eligible for any of those application fee waiver, if you don't fall under the eligibility requirements for that application fee waiver, you can also contact us at journalism_admissions@berkeley.edu, which I'll put that email later. But yes, so feel free to email us as well. If you have a large barrier to be able to submit your application, we want to do our best to support students so that they, have a chance to be reviewed and to be admitted to our school. So we don't want that, any specific thing to be holding you back. Um, yeah, next steps, start and explore the application if you haven't already done so. Connect with us at upcoming events. Reach out to us with any questions. We do offer weekly drop-in admissions office hours. I've seen a lot of you already attending these sessions. They happen every Friday from 11 to 12, and they're listed on the admissions page of our website. So you can see when they're happening and just register. The QR code is for that drop-in admissions office hours as well. So you can scan the QR code to register. And then, yeah, follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. We're always sharing the latest news, what's going on, at the J School, student life, alumni, achievements. And yeah, and don't forget that the deadline for the first round is December 16th. If funding is something that you want to, especially if you want to be considered for scholarships, then please apply by December 16th to have a chance at being considered for those opportunities. We do have a second round, February 3rd, but again, if you want to be considered for scholarships, please apply by December 16th. And yeah, just a list of our, this is Betsy here with Blaine pictured at one of our, we went to, that was at NLGJA this summer or in September, I think, maybe last month in LA. And so they were Berkeley, had the Berkeley Journalism booth. And I heard it was a lot of fun as well. So yeah, we're continuing to have events. So please do register. The next opportunity coming up is the Graduate Diversity Admissions Fair, and that is online. And that will be a session on Friday. We'll have a current student panel as well. So please, if you want to hear from our students themselves, year one and year two students, feel free to register for that event. And then I just secured this joint J School panel info session, Berkeley Journalism. We're hosting Syracuse, CUNY, Columbia. So it'll be 4 J schools total, and we'll do an hour-and-a-half session. So that should be a lot of fun. I definitely recommend registering for that. All of the links are on our website right now, so if you want to sign up. The last thing is we'll have an open house. So that'll be the week of Tuesday to Thursday. Monday is Veterans Day, so we won't be, having classes that day. But Tuesday to Thursday, Friday tends to be really quiet on campus, so which is why we're not hosting anything Friday. So Tuesday to Thursday, I'm going to be putting the registration link up probably by tomorrow at the latest. So check on our website for the links and as well to register for class visits. So if there are interesting classes that you want to sit in on, you can register for those too. And a lot of info sessions. So it'll be a lot of fun. Faculty will be leading info sessions about the different concentrations. The investigative reporting program, IRP, will also be hosting their own info session. So just a lot of really fun info sessions. You'll get to meet the faculty, alumni, current students on campus. So definitely recommend, just booking that and saving those dates now. And that's it. And again, these are the email. So journalism_admissions, that's the email for my admissions for the admissions office. The JPierce email is great if you have application questions. So if it's really related to the application process, application tips, then please email the JPeers. Those are current students in the program that help with our admissions office activities. And so they would be, best suited to answer those questions. But you can always email both of us if, copy one or the other if that is easier. Yeah. And let's maybe open it up to Q&A now. We have like 10 minutes, but and I don't know if Betsy has to leave right away, but yeah, let's try to leverage the last 10 minutes at least.
Hey, let me hop in there with a question in the chat that I was just trying to answer
Yeah,
her.
go ahead.
So, this is Nerdly? Nerdly? Am I pronouncing your name correctly? Anyway, don't mean to put you on the spot. But so the question is if you can speak on the new Haas and J School partnership as I'm currently reporting a business news reporter. I guess probably currently working as a business news reporter. Nellie, do you know any specifics about that? I can give you
Yeah, maybe you can give the general.
okay, I'll give you the gist. So this is a new, I think this is the first year that it's really being rolled out. And I think the idea is that it's a certificate. So there's I think maybe like 4 classes that students are required to complete to secure this certification. But the idea is that this is kind of specialized training. It's in close collaboration with Bloomberg News. To prepare students to function, as business reporters. So I think I don't know the specific classes that have to be taken, but the idea is that it's yeah, they'll draw on the expertise of Bloomberg News and Haas to equip you all to work in that capacity. Sorry,
Yeah, no,
that's
I
one.
think I think it's actually just so four. I mean, I think you can take 4 classes, but I think the minimum is three in the
Oh, okay.
certificate. And actually, it's a partnership between Haas. So the Haas students can take a list, like a lot of the J school courses if they want, and then we can. And I think they're like for the fall. I think I saw like 20 plus courses from Haas that we
Nice.
journalism school J schools our J school students are able to take. But yeah,
Mhm.
three minimum, and that means on top of your Master of Journalism degree, you would get on top of that business certificate. And yeah, it is the first year. We had some courses like covering Silicon Valley last spring, but I think that was the first of, and so this is kind of a much more kind of clear pathway for students knowing, understanding that the market, that students want to just to have more opportunities, right? Post graduation, business, data, right? So we're really trying to make sure our curriculum is meeting the demands of our students as well as the market. So that is, yeah, one new.
Yeah, and there are a lot of opportunities for business reporters out there. So yeah, so it's good.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And again, this is a great place to do that too. Silicon Valley is right here, and yeah, very accessible. So,
Right.
um,
Maybe we can alternate. We can do like a raised hand, and then we can go to the chat, kind of back and forth. Okay. Rogerio. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yeah, Rogerio, perfectly. Can you hear me
Okay.
good?
All right.
Can you hear me
Hi,
good?
what's your
Okay.
question? Hmm.
Yeah, so I'm Rogerio from Brazil. Just a quick question regarding the difference between the multimedia specializations and the documentary one, because I'm very hands-on and related to doc projects, but I'm doubtful about in which to pursue. And I'd like to know if by selecting the multimedia one, I'll be allowed to explore filmmaking by a more broad perspective, like interactive and dynamic one, or if it's more related to web design and this kind of stuff. Yeah. Mm. And thank you for the session. Very straightforward and informative. So good to be here.
Now, do you want to take that?
So what is the difference between multimedia and video? Sorry, multimedia and doc? Okay. Um, so I mean, there are a lot of differences, but I would say, I mean, I would definitely join the info sessions about those concentrations just to get a little more insight on that. But essentially multimedia. I mean, they're very different. One way that you could into the differences would be to look at what the master thesis projects are. So the master thesis projects for like doc, you would produce like a 25, 30 minute, documentary. Whereas with multimedia, it could be it could look I mean, it's just going to be very different because doc, you're really focused on documentary. That's the only thing I will say. The difference is if you want to be a cinematographer, like documentarian, like if that's you just want to be working on documentaries, then I would say apply and choose doc as your primary area of interest. Multimedia is just going to be, you can be working on social media, like verticals, you'll be able to kind of play with various tools, media tools. So it is going to be pretty different. I think doc, just make sure that you really know that you want to do doc. You can change your mind later though. So let's say you're admitted to the doc program and then, you're admitted, you decide to enroll, but then somewhere along the way before you're here, you kind of decide actually, I've looked into it a little more and actually I do want to kind of have a broader, so I can be working with like shorter videos and verticals and social media and like all of these things, then you can switch to multimedia. I will say narrative writing and multimedia are our most popular um, concentrations, just in terms of number of students that are in those. But, again, it changes so much. People will be in the program and decide actually audio is more of what I want to be doing as a concentrate. Like it does change when they're here, and they're exploring and trying different media platform courses.
I'm trying to answer as many questions in the chat as I can. Elijah, your turn.
Okay, I want to ask a question about because you talked about a visa earlier. I saw something like a few days ago about the F1 visa that international students can't use the F1 visa to study for more than 5 months. So I don't really know how that works though. I saw the news like 4 days ago or so. So I think it's a new development. So
Huh.
that's why I'm bringing it here.
Elijah, I'm afraid I'm not up to date with that, but if you send an email to me, I can connect you with people who would be able to give you authoritative answers.
Okay,
We
maybe.
have an office on campus. It's the Berkeley International Office, and they are amazing. And they watch all of these developments like a hawk. Because sometimes, these immigration laws are subject to interpretation, and so they do a really great job of staying on top of things and making sure that our students are following policies and procedures in such a way that that they're able to stay in the country as long as they can and want to.
Very much then. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go. Rogerio, we'll come back to you, but let's just give someone else a chance to ask a question. And Dan, I think that is you. Next up.
Oh, hey, I'm
Hey.
Dan. Hey, Nelly Betsy, thanks for putting this on. I really appreciate the energy you're bringing to this. It makes me very excited to apply and meet you in November.
Great.
So I had a question about more about who your incoming students are. So you kind of alluded to that earlier in the webinar. Um, aside from kind of the stipulations for the application that are on your website, can you speak more about who these students are, these incoming students? What kind of experience they bring or how they've articulated, who are kind of your most successful applicants in terms of how they've articulated their interest in journalism and specifically in studying at Berkeley. I'm interested in the doc program and, can really relate with a lot of what you said about finding work after the fact and all that.
Mhm.
Very much appreciate you recognizing all that. And I'm just curious if you could speak more about who are these incoming students and what experience they bring, and if there is a cutoff for if there's someone maybe who's too qualified for the program, or kind of
Oh, interesting.
what you're that's maybe a weird thing to bring up, but I'm just curious who these students are that are actually applying and getting into the program.
Yeah. No, I can take a stab at this and hop in and correct me if I say anything that's not consistent with your understanding. Okay. So this is my sense, and this is based on 5 years of working in this capacity. So not deep historic knowledge, but certainly, recent. Um, I generally feel that like a third of our students are coming to us straight out of undergrad, and probably half of them study journalism as an undergrad and half studied something else. Then I think we've got a third who worked a little bit, and maybe they're coming from different fields, and now this is kind of a pivot point for them. And then I think we've got a third that are coming with significant journalism experience. They've worked in newsrooms. They know their way around a newsroom. They've got a significant body of work. And so for them, Berkeley journalism is about maybe getting a credential because they want to teach, or pivoting. Like, so for instance, we have a student who's got deep experience as a writer. He wants to be a documentary filmmaker now. So this 2-year program for him is to make that shift, to learn those skills and start redirecting his journalism career. And they all kind of find their way, and they find the things that they need. And I think just journalism kind of being what it is, and there's never perfection, right? You can always do something better. I think even if you put them, all of these people, in a kind of, J200, which is our required kind of basic journalism class, it can still be challenging because everyone brings to it, they take on the assignments based on where they're at. So maybe the students are just starting out, approach the assignment from a more kind of basic way. The students who have journalism experience are, swinging for swinging for I can't think of any cliches today, which is probably just as well. But just really trying to knock it out of the park. And fortunately, our professors are equipped to work with students in all of those circumstances. Did that answer your question a little bit?
Yeah, I think I think that breakdown of like a third of people from
Hmm.
who maybe only studied in the field or the field, and then others who are far more experienced on the other end of the spectrum. So that's kind of
Yeah.
it's reassuring to hear that there is that. I think that's also cool that you bring these people together who do have the diverse experience and are coming from it at different perspectives and at different points in maybe their lives too. So that's I think that
Yeah.
that
I
creates a great academic environment.
This class, so the class that just joined us, the class of 2026, is a great example. We have students who just graduated from undergrad. So they're what, like 23, 20, they're about 22, thereabouts. And we have a student how old is Robert, Nellie? He's like 70 something,
75.
75. Obviously, most of our students are towards the 20, 30, range, but we've definitely got people in their 40s, and we've got Robert at 75.
Yeah, I did want to quickly answer this question because I think a lot of people have the same question from Azran, regarding specializations. He was wondering if could you tell us a bit about how they're designed, whether it accounts for students who may have zero experience working in a particular medium? Um, yeah, and he gives some context. And he says, if I chose multimedia, would I struggle because of my lack of knowledge in the medium? What do you, yeah, what do you feel
No, no, I
from your
think
side
no,
once you're here?
yeah, no, multimedia, if you're an absolute beginner, you'll be fine. There's I think that the coursework, at least, to start, is created with the assumption that you're new to working in this capacity. But again, all of the assignments are project based. So if you've got, some skills, you can apply them to your projects and do work that's a little more ambitious. But if you're an absolute beginner, you take it from where you're at.
Yeah, I would just add only Doc the documentary track really requires that you have relevant experience, again, because there's a select number, and it just requires so much more technical like skill. So that's the only program or concentration that does require. And again, that's why I say if that's, please apply directly if that's something you're interested in. But I do recommend having some relevant experience. So if you have like no video samples, even, it doesn't mean you have to have a documentary that you've like completely done before. But if you have like zero, like you've never even worked in video editing, like I would say, probably because you would just so behind. And again, because it's pretty competitive, I just don't think you would probably end up being, a top contender. But again, even if you choose doc as the first primary area of interest, you can, in the application, it says, would you like, if you're not admitted to doc, would you like to be considered for general admission to one of the other concentrations? And you can select the concentration there. So feel free to do that.
And let me just say too, if you're someone who's like, oh, I really want to do documentary, but you feel like maybe you're not in a position yet to apply, there are definitely things that you can do to prepare yourself to be ready to apply this time next year. So I would encourage you to look at some like beginning video production classes at local community college. A lot of communities have little like media collectives that are designed to help folks learn how to tell stories with visual means. So look for some of those. I think that you can go about that in a very affordable way. And yeah, I would encourage you to do that.
I'm looking through the questions. Is there something else, or does someone else have a last question? Betsy and I have been trying
Yeah.
to get to every question in the chat, at least written.
Yeah. Umar, I see your hand is up. Where are you coming to us from?
Yeah, I think. Oh, I'm John from Nigeria.
Yay! Thank you for staying
Thank
up
you,
late.
thank you so much. Thank you for the information session. I'd like to ask that, is there the opportunity for anyone who wants to probably combine two of those concentrations? Maybe I want to combine between native writing and also multimedia. So is there an opportunity for you to combine between two of those concentrations? Thank you.
Yes. I think Betsy can definitely speak to this, but for sure, just because we ask you to officially declare one of the concentrations by the end of your year one doesn't mean that you're limited to that necessarily. That is primarily for to have clarity to as that'll be the main media platform for you in your master thesis project for your second year of the program, but you're not beholden to just taking courses in multimedia. There are a lot of mini courses as well. So those are like 1 or 2 like smaller credits that like, 7 week long, you know, courses. So they're not the full entire length of the semester that you can take as well. So that might be like covering an audio course, or it might be covering so you can take minis if you want to like get, your foot in the door and see like, oh, is this something I might be interested in? And, so there's, you can even take courses outside the J school too. Sometimes people ask me about that. So yeah, you're not limited to just taking courses here or just taking concentration, one concentration only courses for sure.
I mean, just add quickly to that. That's one of the things that's very cool about multimedia. You can fashion your multimedia master's project so that it can encompass different disciplines. So like if you're an audio student, you can just kind of produce your multimedia project in a way that incorporates audio components. And so narrative, with that in mind, it's very easy to combine your narrative interests with that. So, you can have a narrative project that just has a multimedia presentation.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very, very common. The other cool thing that I've seen a lot in the showcase, which is what we call which is where students showcase exhibit their, final master thesis projects is, you see a lot of collaborations as well, across the concentration. So you might see a doc student, pairing with a narrative writing student, right? And then they do the research together, but then doc, so then now they're showcasing that project in documentary form while, perspective, while someone else is writing a long form like article that they can maybe, end up publishing in, or investigative, an investigative piece. So it really does vary a lot. And there's a lot of opportunities to collaborate, especially in that master thesis project. I saw a lot of that.
Awesome.
Hi, it's Azmin. Hello. Sorry, I have a
Hello.
second question. I was wondering about graduate assistantships. You did not mention them during the funding part of the presentation. So, are they available for students in the School of Journalism? And if not, then can students apply to other parts of the university for graduate assistantships? And is that a realistic way to fund the degree?
Do you want to? Yeah, I went in, there is an info session where I talked about the application and funding opportunities. So I go more into that in that presentation. But yeah, I really wanted to focus on career development and just because it's so easy to talk about so many things. But I'll also, if you sign up for the Graduate Diversity Admissions Fair, we'll also talk about funding stuff there too. But yeah, essentially graduate assistantships. I assume that you're talking about like GSI, like the ASC, the academic student employment opportunities where you can get like
Right.
tuition fee remission right? Okay. Yeah, so that is, I would say as a year one student, I have heard of like a few students that have landed an ASC GSI or like a reader opportunity. And if you work at least 10 hours each week, then you can qualify for that tuition fee remission. And then on top of that, you get a salary. So it is a great way for students to get a lot of their tuition covered. If you're an international student or an out-of-state resident, so you're not a California resident, you would still have to pay the PDST, the NST, non-resident supplemental tuition. I know it's such a mouthful. And then there's also PDST, which is professional development, like a professional development fee. So those are the two fees that they won't cover, but they'll cover the rest of your tuition fees for that semester that you're working. So if you find an a GSI opportunity, for all the, 2 years that you're here, then, you potentially will have very little to pay. But those opportunities don't open up until like March, right? Or April of the year. So you can't really apply for those now for next year. You do need to be, and you would need to be an enrolled student, meaning that you're admitted, and then you have like a student ID and your email address. Like, so you would need to be like admitted and, say, yes, I'm coming, before you can start applying for those. But yeah, you'll hear back with a decision in March, and then around March, April, those opportunities will start to open up. And usually those opportunities are published up through even the first 3 weeks into the academic semester. So, yeah, but I will say there are a few year one students I know that do have those opportunities. So they are able to get them. And then year two students, I know a few as well that have those opportunities. We also offer fully funded fellowships, but again, those are a mixture of merit and need based. So, again, applying early is going to be your best chance of being eligible for those opportunities. Make sure you complete the application thoroughly, complete all of that, the graduate, complete your grad departmental application section, which also includes the need-based funding essay. So make sure that you just you explain, you complete all of that very clearly with barriers, that you're facing or encountering, and how, we might help to bridge the gap for you, if you're admitted.
Thank you so much. I've learned all I needed to know.
Okay, great. Don't worry, everyone asks that. So I know I could spend like 3 hours talking about funding. So Anything else? I know because Betsy's we're a little over time already, but so maybe we'll end here. But if you guys do have other questions, please join the drop-in admissions office hours. Those happen on a weekly basis, so that's just the easiest way to get in touch with someone from our office. And because they're current students, so I'm not in those sessions normally, so it'll just be run by one or two J peers and they're current students. One of them is a dean's fellow, so he, is a fully funded fellow himself. So, if you have questions about that or just about job opportunities on campus, both of them they're well versed in how to land a job on campus and all of that stuff. So definitely reach out to them. And yeah. And then, of course, open house, November, all of those events will be updated on the admissions page, but I'll also be sending emails. So just keep a lookout for emails from the journalism admissions email.
Thanks, everybody. And I put my email in the chat, so if you have any questions,
that's so nice of you,
specifically
Betsy.
for me, don't hesitate to reach out.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, everyone. And yes, please don't hesitate to reach out to either of us. And yeah, thank you so much for taking the time today to join.
Great to see you all.
Thanks so much.
Thanks so much.
Bye.
Thank you.